lot of new faces. This is our first time back in segment 1 for a while, and we're excited to be here. As you can see, if you were here 8 months ago, it looks very different than it did, so we're excited to see the progress coming. Welcome to a lot of businesses who are newly experiencing the construction of the BRT project down the line. Today we have, if you haven't been to a Chats on Colfax before, this is an opportunity not just to learn aspects about the project, but to also ask your questions. We have gathered a lot of people from the project team here who can answer questions about anything from financing and marketing to construction and project updates. So today we have a special guest coming in to talk about alternative marketing techniques. So every Chats on Colfax, we like to introduce some new piece of technical assistance. So today we're talking about, we're bringing in an influencer who creates third-party content, or is a third-party content creator. It's almost hard to say the official term. And so we want to demystify the process about that if you're interested in finding out-of-the-box ways to advertise your business. And then if you have follow-up questions, we'll have a Q&A today, but also happy to put you in contact with the folks that we're working with individually. Okay, so we have lots of updates today. Project updates first, then we have representatives from DEDO here, Denver Economic Development and Opportunity, to talk about grants, but also additional resources. Then we have project partners here. Thanks again to the Colfax Avenue bid for always being here and helping support. And we're just really glad to have a partner like you on this project. And then we'll get into the, oh my gosh, look, I don't even know how to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So we'll talk a little bit about the initiatives and where they're at. Are we back the Fax Initiative and the Fax Pass? If any business here is interested in joining the Fax Pass, we have all of the materials. If you aren't a member yet, we'll talk a little bit about what that is. It's free for businesses, and we're having 2 additional events tonight to promote that and to bring more consumers to Colfax here and then at Velvet Banjo directly after this.
All right, I'm Heather. I am with our construction team talking about kind of updates on construction. I think I know most of you guys, but want to just kind of show some of our updated slides that we have for the public for you guys to kind of see how the different phasings look. So this is in segment 1, which is the majority of the businesses in here. So you can kind of see we've completed phase 1 over there, and for both segment 1 and 2. And then right now we're in the progress of finishing up segment 1 and 2, phase 2. So one of the things, just to kind of, the biggest kind of update right now is we're working on moving into phase 3A in mid-March for segment 1 from Broadway to Humboldt. And so you'll start to see the lane shift, and so that's where this is going to look like. Here it's that first one. So you see you have 3A is 2 different graphics. That first one is the A, second one is the B. So what we'll move into in mid-March, weather dependent and other things, but is with the construction zone being in the center and then the traffic lanes being on the outside. And that's going to be really how it also looks in final configuration. So it'll kind of help with those pieces. So that is one of the pieces here, the biggest one, of updates that I've got right now. Any questions?
It sounds like 3A stands for something.
It's just like like instead of doing it phase 3, phase 4, because we're doing the same. That's a great question, Rick. So basically, the reason there's 3A and 3B is we're doing the same thing in that phase. We're just doing it in different configurations of lanes. So the first part is the 3A. It's where we're doing like the landscaping and all the final touches on the different pieces, the mill and overlay, the painting of the lines, the final kind of what to expect at the end of construction. And so we're going to do that in the middle, and then we're going to move the construction to the outside, and then the middle will become lanes of traffic while we do the same exact thing on the outside. So that's why we chose like 3A, 3B, because we're doing the same activities, just in lane configuration movement.
And 3 stands for a particular geography.
so we had phase 1, so segment 1 had phase 1. Right now we're in phase 2. Then we're going into the final phase, which is 3. And then final phase has 3A and 3B.
Clear as mud, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the real takeaway here is like we're a lot farther along, and it feels like as we move into this next phase, it really is less impacting, right?
Right.
Like yeah,
Yes, like this is the final phase of like the finishing touches. Just putting all the bells and whistles in and getting everything ready to be complete. And so there's a lot of construction that still goes into that, but it is just the final pieces of it. So yeah, it's broken up. So we're in 3A, we'll move that from Broadway to Humboldt. The rest, like from Humboldt all the way to Colorado, will still be in phase 2 in mid-March. So they'll stay in the current configuration that they're in with the lanes, how they are, where we're doing most of the construction on the north side. That will stay in place in those areas until we're ready to move to phase 3 in those. So we will still have all the businesses will get to a 3A, 3B from Broadway to Colorado. Like whenever we get to moving to 3A and 3B, where your business is at, I'll come out and talk with you guys individually. We'll send notices that show that configuration so that you guys will have visuals to know what's happening right in front of your business when we move that. So like the last one was the phase 2 where the notices showed. So right now we're in phase 2 of construction on the north, a majority of the construction on the north. And so we'll go to that. But this is also, and for people that are curious, this is how segment 5 is going to look a little bit different. If anybody's wanting to know what we're doing in Aurora, this is the new graphic for the Aurora area. So that's from Yosemite onto I-225. They are having their stations, they're going to be side running versus center running. And so their construction zone is only going to be one phase versus where we've had several. So this is how their construction configuration is going to look in that area.
yeah, and I get the question why a lot. Why is Aurora doing it differently? And if you've driven down that segment, you've seen all of that infrastructure that's in the center aisles, the planters that they've spent quite a bit of time and money in order to build, and so ultimately Aurora decided to make them side running again. So that's part of the reason for the discrepancy, the change. This is a general slide that we just like to, I don't know, originally when this was added to the, was this us that added? Did you add
Yes.
it? Okay.
It's been there the whole time.
Okay.
But I think it just got added to the, I don't think we had this in this part. It's just
Okay.
on the website as
Okay.
part of that. But it just is a quick way. This is also on our website, so you guys can see these graphics online. If you go there, and you can also see like RTD services and change your watch.
Yeah, and if you're a business that is hoping to capitalize on the incoming new amount of ridership that's going to be on the BRT, we also recommend, and this is an early way of communicating some of the information about the bus and its schedules and its effects to your customers. So, for example, some businesses are starting to think about offering incentives for people who ride the bus to come to their business. So for example, like I'll give you 10% off your first beer if you show me your bus ticket, those sorts of incentives. But also if these are easy to download and add to your own website, if that's something that interests you, or you can reach out to any of our team and we can supply you with full graphics versions of these to add to whatever you'd like. Any questions for construction or project updates?
And some other things that might be helpful, kind of what Frank was saying, what does like 3A look like? If you guys go from Colorado to Uinta in that station work, that is really what 3A is going to look like in segment 1, where the center work is construction and outside lanes is traffic. So that'll give you a good visual also of how that looks. And that'll last about 2 to 3 months. And then we'll move to B, and I'll let you guys know when we have a date on that.
And before I move to the next section, I didn't do it at the beginning, but I just want to, of course, thank Douglas with Carl Gwynn, a new business here on Colfax. This is a wonderful space, and thank you very much for letting us use it and hopefully not abuse it. So if you don't get, I think everyone in here gets project updates, but if you miss this QR code, we have it in the back. You're able to sign up for our regular emails.
Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Meyerskoff. I am Advisor at DIDO, Denver Economic Development and Opportunity. We're going to talk about something really fun today. Well, I guess first we're going to talk about BioFund. We're going to talk about BioFund first. Okay, BioFund round 1 has completed. We closed the round on February 10, yes. And we are in the process of technical review, which is done. Moving on to financial review, we should have the end of that done by March something. So if you applied for this round, stay tuned. Those results should be out soon. The next round should be open at the beginning of April. So, great. And now we're going to talk about something super fun, which is fraud. Every major grant program in the nation attracts fraud. So we're going to talk about fraudulent applications and what DIDO is doing to protect your business. So we do see an uptick as the economy gets worse in fraudulent applications, not only in businesses that don't exist, but in businesses that do currently exist. So we're going to talk about what you can do to protect yourself. With the Colorado Secretary of State, we're going to recommend that you get online to Colorado SOS, that's their website right there, sos.state.co.us, and confirm that your business name and address are accurate. The easiest way to protect yourself is to make sure that all of your information is up to date so you can receive your own information from SOS. Monitor any filings that you didn't submit. The number one thing that we do see is people submitting trade of fact names for a business that they don't own. So if you see something like that, we'll talk about what to do in a second, but just make sure that you don't see something like that, and then ensure that your business remains in good standing. Second thing that we see is when a business falls out of good standing, somebody will come in and scoop up that business name. So make sure that you're still in good standing with SOS. That's the wrong way, sorry. If you do see something on SOS, say something, right? Just like the New York subway. Take action immediately. Report the unauthorized filings to the Colorado SOS. They do have a non-emergency hotline that you can just Google Colorado SOS fraud. The number will come up. It's also on the website. You can also file a report with the Denver Police Department. They have a non-emergency number that you can call. There's also a website for them with their identity theft portal. And please notify us at DIDO. This is part of our grant program so that we can escalate it internally to DPD and to our own city attorney's office, CAO. Other program safeguards that we are using internally when we see fraudulent applications, we always, or not even when we see them, just in general, we follow up via phone and email to confirm application details. This is for every single application. If we have questions, we call, we email, we ask for details. We always ask every application that gets all the way through for required documents like W-9s, banking information, proof of operation within 90 days. We want to make sure that if you say that you own this business, you actually own this business and you can prove it. Also, we do in-person verifications and on-site reviews. You can ask Iman, who are right here. She helps us do that, and Alejandra as well. We send people on site. There's a ghost in the machine, right? We want to make sure that there's an actual person on the end of this grant. We want to make sure that if you say that you own this business, the money is not going to somebody fraudulently. We're trying to make sure that this is happening the right way. Oh yeah, and this is Rachel Lyons, who works with me right here. She's the other administrator of the BioFund. This is our email address. If you have any questions ever, you can go ahead and email me. I'm going to be sticking around afterwards. You can come see me if you have any questions. I'm always around. And I'm up and down the corridor. You might see me from time to time. I live in the neighborhood. That's it. Thanks, y'all.
DIDO is a large and beneficent group in the city. They have lots of different programs for businesses. And one of the things my team likes to do is there are a lot of events that they're having, like free seminars or training programs or information sessions. And so I like to just pick different programs every chance at Colfax to just spotlight and And one, if you're interested in a direct one-on-one business advisement, they offer these services, and I'm happy to send you that link for signing up. We also work with several consultants who are doing work with Colfax businesses pro bono, that if you're interested in, I don't know, you have questions about scaling, or you have questions about bookkeeping, or how to update your website, things like that, we have people that we can send to you to maybe provide some of these broader services. I also just want to mention a couple other programs. In last month's event, we brought in someone from Dido, Carol Walker, to talk about enterprise zones. What my team is doing, the small business outreach for, I keep saying my team, but for those of you who don't know me, it's the small business outreach team on behalf of the BRT project. We're going to be visiting every business on Colfax that is eligible under the new stipulations of the enterprise zone. This is a special zone for specifically tax incentives and breaks and things like that. So we have information both about how to participate, but then also providing information about who administers these programs, both in Denver and Aurora. We do have some information on the back table if you just want to get a head start to look into whether or not you're within the new zone limits. If you were in the zone beforehand and it's moved into a new one, even though the date to be grandfathered in has passed, Carol Walker said to still reach out to her to see if there's any more information she can provide. Okay, so there's that. And then lastly, for those of you who aren't aware of the C-STAND grant that DURA, so this is Denver Urban Renewal Authority, they have a grant for most businesses on Colfax are eligible. We have a full fact sheet in the back that was supplied by them that says all the rules and stipulations and how to apply. This was just an indicator to show when the grant application deadline is, and that's coming up fast. It's the 6th of March. So happy to point you in the direction. This is for future costs. So you would submit a proposal of up to $50,000, and then they will announce later in the spring the folks who they'll be funding, and then they're going to open a second round later in the year. So this could be anything from marketing and public relations. It can be you need to actually buy furniture or build out. Safety improvements, right? Security, securitization of your business, upgrading environmental standards, your doors squeaky, okay, all of that stuff. And so if you want more information, there's a website there, renewdenver.org/cstand. You can also grab the fact sheet there in the back.
Hi everybody, I'm Tanan with Colfax Business Improvement District, the Business Support Director. We are the district right here where we're at today, from Grant Street to Josephine Street. So I see a few familiar faces. We have our annual events already lined up, and there are several ways for our businesses to get involved. And I want to highlight that we are anticipating to do lots of activations and celebrations this summer in tandem with construction leading our district. So of course, my contact information is at the bottom. You know how to get a hold of me, but we would love all of our businesses to be involved in some capacity that works well for you and is affordable or free. Past that, I was just going to mention really fast, not to burst anyone's bubble, but I've been working with some businesses on the Dura grant. There are a lot of businesses in our district that will not qualify for the Dura grant, specifically tattoo shops, bars, any head shops, pot shops, that kind of stuff will not qualify for Dura. So I don't want anyone to leave here thinking like, oh my gosh, I've got another opportunity. The fine print is at the very end of the application information, so just want to make sure you have that info. And then, as always, I'm here for our district. I'm also here for BioFund support
friends from the Fact Partnership here. Alejandra, John, do you want to say any words, upcoming events?
Yeah, next week on the 25th of September, no, February.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah, next Wednesday. We're having a quarterly safety meeting at Sparks Kitchen, which is 8135.
You went to Colfax, yeah.
So for businesses that are further east, if you want to come, it's a great opportunity to hear what's going on over there. There will be more information as well as about construction impacting that specific area. But yeah, other than that, if you are a business impacted over here, we are doing a lot of outreach and administration of the bio. So if you're available, you can always go to factcenter.com and reach out to us.
Great, thanks. Okay. So before we move into the technical assistance part of the program, I'm just curious, is anything stirring additional questions? So while members of the project team are here, and I didn't introduce John in the back, John Stewart, project director. So if there are larger questions you have about BRT, what it is, why it is, we can also answer those, or we are all going to stay afterwards. If you have any additional questions that come up, we'd love to chat with you one-on-one if you prefer to bring it up individually. We got this idea a few months ago that one of the questions we keep getting from a lot of businesses is like, how do we think outside the box in terms of new marketing ideas, and how do we bring new customers in when they can't see our signage necessarily? And so we put together a social media packet to kind of identify key ideas and put in some boilerplates there that you can copy and paste. All of those are available at our website, which is denvergov.org/ColfaxBRT. But then we were really trying to get creative. And some of you may have been to an arch party or two. Maybe you've heard rumors that the art installation that's happening in Pennsylvania is going to lead to a larger, an activation of all the businesses around that area. And so we're getting creative about how to get the public's eyes on your business. And we're always interested too in other ideas that you have, and maybe we can share out with some of our other colleagues along the corridor, or if you're interested in partnering on a future event or future type of communication. But one of the things that this led to was a discussion about how are other passionate Denverites who aren't necessarily connected to the project talking about and emphasizing the value and importance of Colfax. And so we started reaching out to a couple content creators. And when we were having a discussion amongst ourselves about like, okay, it's not like everybody loves Denver, but who loves Denver with a message that really speaks to sort of this Colfax idea? And we were very lucky to talk to and meet Raina Kingston, who's here today. And we're going to have a little conversation about what content creation is, how maybe your business can leverage that interesting alternative style of marketing, and then also show you what we're doing a little bit on the project itself. And then we'll have a Q&A session afterwards, so if you have any interests or concerns or questions, again, the idea is to demystify as many elements of marketing as we can to just fill your toolbox with something that'll help bring customers in. So let me bring them up. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Really, I think what I've really appreciated about learning about your mission and your goals with your work is just really the focus on connecting people and places. Like that's something like getting people to think about the places in Denver that they should go or they should think about, or here are the places that really need your support. So doing this full time, it's hard. That means that you're doing something very right, very passionate about local businesses in particular. And then also, I would love for you to speak just a little bit about this group that you've created that you lead, and a little bit about kind of how that got started.
Yeah, absolutely. So I tell people like my story of becoming an influencer, I did not set out to become it. It's not something that I went to school for. I have a degree in political science and environmental studies, and I just fell into marketing. So my my journey with content creation began during the pandemic. I grew up in Littleton, Colorado, so I've called Colorado home my whole life, except for college. I went to Ohio. If you want to talk about Ohio, we talk about Ohio sometime. But I came back, and then a lot of places that I grew up with were closing, and Reels had just came out on Instagram, and I was like, I could do that. Like, I could try it. And I remember my first Reel took me 4 hours to make, which is an insane amount of time to this day. And I'm not here to tell you it did stellar or fabulous or spectacular. It took a lot of time of refining my skill and kept posting and kept growing. And so my whole emphasis has been around small local businesses. It's how I got my start. That's what I still do. It's why I do what I do, because I love Denver. I love Colorado. I love the small local businesses aspect. And then it turned into something. I started going what we call viral, but we all have very different definitions of what viral is these days. And I realized that there was a way that I could turn this into a career, and so I gave it my best shot, and I've been content creating for 4 years now in Colorado specifically, and I'm able to live off it. I'm not here to say it's lucrative, because it's not. I want to debunk that about the influencing world. It's sustainable, but I also have a partner that helps me sustain my income as well. And so that is really where it stemmed from. And then the group that we were talking about, I run an activist group here in Denver called the Denver Activist Women's Group. It started after the election of 2024, and it's actually grown to about 5,000 women now, where we get involved locally in our communities and progressive politics. So that's a big thing that I've done too, which really just speaks to the community aspect. I'm not trying to just get likes. I'm not just trying to get followers. I love my followers. They're my most prized friends, and I want to make sure I'm always presenting them with information that's good for them, digestible, and actually makes sense to their pages. Of course, I do have to sign some of those contracts that are like United Airlines or an alcohol company to help pay the bills, but you can see a streamline, like a through line through my whole entire content is like, how do I highlight the small local businesses that are working so hard already and help get more people in the door so it can be easier for business owners? Because when I think of success, it's the DMs that I get from bartenders or servers saying, thank you for posting this video. I got more cash flow today because your followers came in here and said they saw it through one of your videos. So that's why I do this, and those are like my real win moments.
And that's really what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. Is like that last part is for a small business on Colfax that's experiencing construction woes. Maybe you want more customers. I don't know if that's everybody in here, but generally, what can someone who creates content or what we call an influencer, right?
Yeah.
Like how, there's like, what does that word mean, and how do we use it, and how do we, all of those kinds of questions are those things that I'm hoping to get to today. And then, so this is her Instagram account, and I don't know, is there anything you want to say about it specifically? But you can see like how she posts, like, so people know what to click on because there's the text there, and so you can also, I don't know if you saw this number, but 54,000, that's not shabby. So, even if a small fraction of her followers are seeing that and the post that relates specifically to your issue, then there's a lot of eyeballs on that piece.
Totally. Even more on TikTok too. So.
Yeah, but I'm not going there because I don't know how to use TikTok. No, I thought when I was pulling one down, I thought this one might be more
it's
relatable for it. But yes, even more on TikTok. So one of my first questions, I would love if each of you could talk a little bit about the potential for, well, actually maybe approach. So how do people approach you? How do you, and I don't know if people know, but Sam does a lot of marketing and advertising for projects around the state. And so two totally different perspectives here about engaging with this type of marketing strategy. So maybe talk a little bit about how do you approach content creaters? What are your favorite ways to be approached? Those sorts of things.
Can I go first?
You
or?
go first.
Okay. Well, from my perspective, we're thinking about like the We Back Facts campaign that we've grown from the grassroots, and we've slowly added layers of engagement and more high quality opportunities for people to engage with our content. So, as you'll all know, it's the Colfax Cash that was encouraging people to get out to businesses and to show their support on social media with the We Back the Facts hashtag. And in all of these chats, I'm Colfax meetings, you've heard me talk about like the power of collaborative posts and posts that we're partnering with the businesses on. And for me, I really see that as, you know, people more and more online are like curating their own circles of trust and their own information sources. You know, people might not even be getting news from traditional news outlets anymore. So for us, it's like, who are those circles of trust and those voices that our audience may want to hear from, even more so from a government social account. So I think that's where we start to look at influencers, content creators, as those are groups that have dedicated followers, they have a trusted voice with their audience, and oftentimes they have a shared interest in the campaigns and the topics that we're working on. So as we started adding layers of complexity to the We Back the Facts campaign, we saw that success in the collaborative posts and partnering with businesses, and we thought, can we expand that into the creator space? And that's where we started from our perspective. I think as a consultant, I always consider like our due diligence is to do a few interviews, to collect a few bids and packages from content creators. Maybe as a business, you might know a creator that you want to definitely work with, but for me, we wanted to do that due diligence. So interviewed Raina among a few other influencers at the time, and just knew right away talking to Raina that she got it. You know, I think there's something when you talk to someone about a campaign or a topic, you kind of know right away if they're understanding what the core issue is and what we're hoping to accomplish. So for me, it was an easy choice of selecting Raina to be the fit for this expansion of the We Back the Facts campaign, and hoping that we can tap into her audience, and we think they're really engaged in small business support and transit-oriented issues, so we thought that was a good part of the pairing as well. So a little bit of that process of like researching, and honestly as a business too, in your social accounts, you may be getting, the algorithm is working for you, and you might be seeing content creators that are relevant to your business, so that just starts to give you ideas. So Brandon started popping up in my feed, you know, just in doing Colfax work more, and I started to think more and more like, hey, she would really be a great fit for this message. So that's a long-winded answer, but yeah, kind of my process.
I love that. I think to make it tangible for like the business owners in this room, when I think about DMs that I get, because I do get a decent amount of DMs, but the ones that stand out, just write somebody's name in it, right? If you know the name of the content creator, tips and tricks, just put their name in it, versus like a, hey, so like just like you can tell when it's like sent it to multiple people versus you can tell it's like individual. And I think sometimes as content creators, people think you have to like pay us an exuberant amount, but I'm here to tell you that a lot of content creators and influencers in Denver care so passionately about the businesses that are here. A lot of us do what we do because we care about small local businesses. This isn't like New York or LA where we're all competitive in that kind of manner. We actually all know each other too. And so even if I'm not the best fit for your business, I'd love to send some people your way that are the best fit for your business, because it is really a community. And I think if you reach out to an influencer, content creator saying, hey, our business is really struggling, would you mind coming in and experiencing the shop, and if you enjoy it, post about it, they're going to really respond to that, because we want you guys to survive. We know how much you add to this corridor into our city, and like we're sad seeing the stress that you guys have to go under, and so we feel that too, and we want to help you in the ways that we can. So I would say if you want to reach out to people, reach out to them, because they're likely going to say yes.
Great. Sam, would you like talk a little bit about the range in prices that you've sort of seen since you've worked with lots of influencers in the past?
Sure, yeah, and it is a very large range that I'll like throw out, because I think I've worked with some influencers for as little as like $200 on an initiative or a post, and then I have not worked with some influencers that were asking for like $10,000 to do one post, you know, and a lot of that, I don't know, I'm curious what your, you know, experience is. This was the 303 bread basket. I don't know if you, a couple of Colorado guys, and you know, they very much, again, you know, they're getting like, the Broncos are inviting them out to do things, so obviously they're getting some bigger corporate sponsors, but I guess for me, so 200, 10,000, I think for you, like you may have a budget and a price that you just know is your absolute most, or the number you want to work with. So I think go in just being honest with what your budget is, and I don't know, from my point of view, I see negotiating very much as part of the interaction with content creators, and usually, again, if it's something that's got a shared value, then it seems like you're willing to work together to find price point to collaborate on. So curious what your
Yeah, I mean,
experience
when
is.
you start it, you're very much paid in free drinks and food. And that's the currency of content creation. And I think it still is, right? Like, and also not every single page or thing that's featured on my page is A, they asked me to come in, or B, was paid. Like, a lot of it's just like exploring the city. And so that's what I'm saying, like, even if you just get in front of an influencer and ask them to come in, like, they might not do it right away, but the next time they're walking the block, they're like, oh, wait, let me stop in that place. But as in terms of price, it ranges exponentially because yes, I might take a $200 deal. Yes, I might take a $2,000 deal. It just depends.
So I guess it's a question for Raina and for Sam. And I'm coming from I don't own a business, but I'm coming from maybe someone who owns a business and wants to maybe hire an influencer to promote their business and also yeah, that situation. So for Sam, what from a business owner, what they need to keep in mind for hire an influencer, like what they need to look, whether it's the followers or I don't know the amount of posts, something that kind of information to give it to the business owners here that maybe they don't know that we can share with them. And also for Raina, if a business owner approaches to you and let's say, oh, that business owner doesn't have too much budget, like what kind of negotiation you can offer with the business owner?
So yeah, I would say I don't think it's necessarily going right to the biggest follower accounts. I think actually looking at their content and the message, and I think as a business owner, you will know your customers and your audience, and I think that's the right fit that you're looking to make. Maybe you do want to try to grow your social audience and your follower count, so you are looking for a really, really big content creator with big numbers, so you can try to leverage some of that. But I think it's more about like the quality and the fit of the content that goes together. And even like I was looking at some other examples, like Mama Joe's Biscuits did a collaborative influencer post, and it was like a small account, only maybe 1,000 followers, but it was this guy who's doing like nothing but barbecue road trips, you know, and I was like, that is such a perfect fit for Mama Joe's Biscuits. And again, maybe that was something where maybe it was just a free meal and drinks was the arrangement. I don't know what happened there, but for me, it's more about the fit. And like I said, when talking to Raina, just kind of understanding what the core what we're trying to convey with the message. And I felt Raina right away understood the small business and the kind of that transit connection. So for me, it's not necessarily big numbers. It's what is it the right message fit for your followers.
To answer your question, if you don't have a budget, I think that's okay. And like, say you're a business owner, like for example, I just got my first tattoo and I'm addicted, and now I want many tattoos. And so like, I'll probably be like, if there's a tattoo business, like I'll reach out to something and be like, do you want to partner? Because I want to do that kind of content. But like, there are still a lot of influencers out there who are like, we are a newly opened up space, or we've been here forever, or we're having troubles getting people in the door. We have this really cool food item, or we have this, like, make it like describe what's Instagrammable about it. Describe like what's gonna get other people, like what's the hook? Because like if someone's inviting me in and they're like, we have really great pizza, but you know we do so well, this like one crazy niche drink that like no one else on the block does. Like, and I'm like, okay, that's great. No one's covered that. That's a hook for me. It's easy. So it's like find out what makes that business special and like use that as your pitching point. And like again, it doesn't have to be like we have X amount of dollars to give you. It's like we have this really fun thing. We think you're the perfect one to come in and cover it. And so like that's how you pitch them to that. And I would be like, hell yeah, I'm in, kind of thing.
As what you mentioned earlier about like you gave one example of the bar manager said that we had a bunch of people that came in or something like that. But back in the days of ads and newspaper, businesses could kind of track like, oh, the coupon was brought in, and so I know that the bar manager you're talking about had some way to assess that there was a value proposition there.
Yeah.
I'm wondering like how it could go both ways. Like, how do you pitch that you're bringing value to it, and how then would a business be able to go like, oh yeah, that did bring me value?
Yeah, that's totally fair. I think there's multiple different ways, right? I mean, other than the word of mouth, which is like what we know is like the golden tier of like referral services, right? And TikTok video, but it's like I had a video that did well, and then they're like, oh, I saw this on TikTok, I saw this on TikTok, or I saw this on like Instagram, and so like that's like that kind of like word of mouth thing. But if you were as a business looking for something more tangible, we've done things in the past where it's like, oh, if you see this video and you go to a business, mention like this word or something, and you get a discount on something like that. So like that's a more like tangible metric if you wanted to kind of weigh that. And I have seen partnerships where those really work and they don't, and if they do really work, you just keep them going, kind of thing like that. Or it's like for the month of February, enjoy a 5% discount if you say you came from this video or something like that. So those are other ways of tangible. But it is hard. It's a hard tangibly way to measure in terms of like metrics.
Yeah, and just from my perspective as like the marketing side, it is really hard to sometimes justify to clients or other projects that you're spending this money, and you're really looking at like your baseline social media metrics, your impressions, reach, followers, and then you are making some loose assumptions and connections, but that post may perform better than your average, better than your normal, but there are then like that challenge of those lag indicators. Did that person then actually go to the business and buy something? It's tougher when it's brick and mortar. There are like fancy digital integrations that will follow someone after having seen an ad on Instagram. Your cookies are tracking you all across the web, and that's why you start seeing those ads in every other corner of your website. So there are some digital strategies to do that, but it is tough with the brick and mortar. So a lot of it is that awareness and reach metrics that you're looking at.
And let's bridge this into a conversation about traditional advertising methods. So if someone, right, hasn't used an influencer before and they're thinking, oh, well, I've always placed an ad in this local newspaper or, these traditional print, or maybe I've gotten into boosting on Facebook. So like, where's maybe the versus here? Like, what gets someone to think, okay, maybe I don't do a traditional thing, maybe I launch into this new kind of alternative style of marketing? How would you help someone kind of like move to either side of that fence?
No, I love that. If you're not inclined to work with influencers like right away, I mean, we are a new form of journalism. Whether the journalists want to accept us or not, it's a different kind of conversation because we're seen as very much new media and not traditional media, which is totally fair. But like we were saying, we've built such communities with our followers that's like very much like we are walking ads to our community and online. But going further into that, I think the trend that I'm seeing in social media is like, I know us business owners, we're so busy, and the thought of sitting down to like make a content, a reel or a post feels very overwhelming because it's the last thing. You're focused on so many things, but people love to see the people behind the business. And so if there's any inclination that you guys have to just like post up your phone and talk to the camera and tell them about your business, let them see who's behind the screen, who's behind the bar, like that's going to go so far because right now we're looking for community in all aspects of our world, and we want to feel connected to the people that we're seeing, that we're scrolling with, that we're patroning. And so if you have like, don't want to go full influencer, like look at yourself first and be like, what can I talk to my community about my business?
Yeah, from my perspective, sometimes it's like old media habits sometimes die hard, and you're like, I've always done that one ad in that one publication, or I just know I love a bus shelter ad, or whatever it may be. So I don't know, from my perspective, it's a digital age we're in, and I think the risk is low in trying something that feels maybe different, working with a content creator, in your normal cadence of advertising in your budget, carve out just something to try and experiment, and if it doesn't feel like it works, then it's, one missed ad, but if it does work, maybe you're onto some new opportunity and you're carving out some new audience that you haven't captured before, because maybe the people who are reading that same print ad are the same people who've been reading it for a long time, so maybe this is a chance to get into kind of a new audience segment. Yeah.
So, I also have business that I'm right now with your parent with the Colfax Acquisition District. So I've had a lot of practice with like, how can a busy business owner do something with their social media that doesn't seem fully over-consuming? And my biggest recommendation is come up with a calendar for your week. And it can be small and simple, but make sure that you're telling authentic
maybe the answer also isn't transition into digital, but maybe you live in a both and world where it makes sense to have a portfolio of different marketing strategies. And so,
I think that's an important thing to point out. We have an analog generation, right? They're flipping the switch right now. And so we do have to be aware of what does this mean this analog curve is going to do for our traditional advertising right now. So
And can you just share like the increase in followers from when you really started like during construction?
yeah, so I took over our socials at Colfax in 2024, but really templated what we were going to do with 2025 at the end of 2024. And so within a year's time, we went from 6,000 followers to over 10,000. I didn't ask for a follower. I never said, like us, you get this, do this, you get this. It was fully organic, but we were very intentional on telling very authentic stories. And so, for what it's worth, I don't think you have to be fancy about it. I think you just have to be yourself about it.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
So, and I have just one more question before we can open it up to Q&A, but I'm curious, would you both talk about where you are in this campaign and how you've negotiated things like content, the script? I know there's storyboards.
Yeah, I can start off. So yeah, I talked about a little bit of doing that interview process, and then once we selected Raina and started working together, I think for us it's what is the message that we want Raina to help carry, and the challenge is always like you immediately come up with a list of like, well, I want 5 different things as a potential message, but you know, that's where coordinating with Raina, we talked about, let's prioritize these messages. So one, it is that general business support message across the whole corridor. Businesses need support during construction, and then talking a little bit more about what are those call to actions and ways for people to get involved. So following We Back the Facts was another on our list of potential call to actions, and then obviously the Facts Pass, which we're excited about. So share that and some talking points with Raina, and then there is just a process of a back and forth of like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this idea, here's kind of the storyboard and direction I'm thinking I'll take my content, and then our team comes back and says, well, hey, you know, here's the list of businesses and maybe the areas to focus on, here's businesses that are on the Facts Pass. So we're very much in that process right now. I'm not sure where in your content collection phase, but there is very much like a collaborative nature in like creating that product that you both are feeling is true to your voice.
Yeah, the best deals are the ones that come with freedom to kind of see the project with my own eyes. Like being trusted as an influencer to carry through an image is like the best honor, and like that's why I hope people hire me, because they know that I'm good at what I do and I have a vision for what I want to do. And so yeah, for the content right now, I knew that my audience would really resonate with the Facts Pass, and so I was like, that's a really good tangible thing that I can then point people to at the end of the video. It's not just a general, go support Colfax, it's go get your pass, go get your stickers, because people love swag, they love prizes like so much. It's silly, but it's okay. And so that's what I've scripted out the entire thing, sent businesses to the team to be like, is there any that you need me specifically to highlight or that need extra love? And then I'll be up and down Colfax this weekend, and then we'll get it up and ready to go by the beginning of the month, next month. So that's kind of the process that we're in right now.
And the hope is that at our next chats on Colfax, we'll be able to show you what happened, and then we might demystify it just a little bit more to say like, this is what we did, and we'll be very transparent. This is what it cost us. This is what we're trying to do, and that if this is something that you would like to do for your individual business, is there a way that we can help you do this? Or is there a group of businesses that want to get together and maybe think about that sort of collaborative process, and maybe with Raina, but also maybe with someone else. And Sam has lots of those recommendations. So we can walk people through that. We can start the process for you. Again, we're here while BRT is here. Our team is here too to support in whatever way that we can. And we can't do everything, but we would certainly love to be asked. And if we can't, then we're going to connect you with people we think who can. So that's sort of our mission here. So Raina has a great mission. That's what brought us to her originally. And our mission is just keep small businesses open, thriving. Yeah. Any questions for Raina or Sam? And they'll stay a little bit afterwards
Did you
too.
say maybe in March we'll see some of the videos that you're working on?
Yeah.
I can't wait. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my goal is March 1st. Yes.
Great.
Kind of a silly question, but like, how do you and other content creators stay in touch in the city? There's not like a
Oh, we have group
gathering,
chats.
okay,
Yeah,
group
yeah,
chats.
yeah.
There's not like a mixer or a social.
Yeah, there's a big IG group chat.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I wasn't
We're
sure.
monitoring every business at
Okay.
all times. Kind of thing like that.
It's
And I also
network.
think, even though that influencers are like, we like shiny things, we like cool new things, we like the pretty pictures, and so it kind of crescendos. Like, I think you can kind of see that, like what happened with like Good Bones up there. It's just like after the first video was made, the second video was made, the third video was made. No one was paid to come in and do those. Those were just like, we want to create good content that people are watching too. So it's like sometimes all it takes is that one thing, if that's what you're looking for it to kind of snowball into something bigger.
Awesome. Other questions?
And seriously, if you have a business in mind or somebody you know needs help, it does, like I said, it doesn't have to be me. I know a lot of the influencers, if not all the influencers in Denver. Like, I'm happy to refer you to people who are comfortable with your budget, are comfortable just for trades or anything like that, like for everybody.
Yeah, let's use maybe the Good Bones as an example too, because that sounds. How did that start, right? Was it because Carson at Good Bones did something that others saw and then started, dogpiling on?
Yeah.
So, then if you're familiar with what Carson did, can
Yes.
you describe what he did and like how simple was it? Do you think it was for him to do that for others?
Yeah, I'll speak to it in not terms of like the political stance it took, but we can just talk
Right.
about the virality thing. Although I agree with the political stance, kind of clear. But it was something simple, right? He just printed out a stencil and then just added that so it could top of his drink. So if you're not familiar with, he makes a black iced latte, and it's just a stencil that he puts cinnamon on top, and it comes out, and it's like a viral clip right there, because we know how much people love taking photos of lattes. And it's why a lot of people get their starts. And so something like that someone can just take a quick picture of, it grows like wildfire, right? Because like that's new, that's unique, it's topical, it speaks to the times, which I also think is why it took off so much. And then an influencer will see that, like my friend Haley, she runs one of the biggest food accounts here in Denver, Mount I Am Hungry. She saw it, went and made a video of it, it reached like 3 million people. And then Westward wrote an article about it, and then it just kept going and going and going. But every influencer still wants to go because they want a picture of that latte. And so did the people, right? We saw those videos and pictures of the line wrapped around the corner because so many people wanted to go support that latte. And I think too, as business owners, if there's any way for you to because I think another thing that helps is that they're giving some cash back to a local nonprofit, and that really spoke to people. So if there is any collaboration with any local nonprofits that your business feels really tied to or aligned with, that can be another good thing. Because I might not go out of my way for a latte, but I will go out of my way for a latte that supports somebody, 2 people at the same time.
Right, and I think so I'm glad that you said it because the point that I was hoping to make is to demystify it, right?
Yeah.
Like all he did was took a photo or a quick little video
Yes.
of sprinkling the cinnamon on the latte. It wasn't a Steven Spielberg or Ken Burns
Right.
type of, extravaganza.
Yeah.
Really simple, posted it, people are seeing it, and he, I believe he told me that he's charging an extra $1 for the latte, and that $1 is going to, so we combined all the things that people love of supporting a small local business, a cause, it was cheeky, and it blew up, and it didn't require an online course of how to do a video.
Most of the photos aren't even that great, but it doesn't matter because people are like, this is cool and we want that. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks for bringing up that example. And I've not been able to get a latte there because their line is always outside the door. So
Yeah. And we want that for everybody.
yeah, we want that for everybody. We really do. So I just want to mention that if you're a business and you're not on our Fax Pass yet, we do have a way if you'd like to sign up here. If you don't know what it is, we've got folks in the back who will explain, kind of walk you through it, how to do it, and then we can get you your starter packs today. and then get you up on the website as soon as we get a deal for the pass itself.